Okay, folks. So I was looking at this weird clouds video from the other day, just kind of looking at it a little bit closer, flipped it around, added some filters, and I noticed a little light real high up in the upper atmosphere shining and flashing. But all of this whole entire video, this whole entire day, this would have been Saturday, last Saturday, would have been the same day that they did their whole thing over there in Iran. And this would have been over the Hoover Dam and over Nellis to the north of our location. All of this structure. And I think myself personally, here it is flipped. I flipped it upside down and I noticed there was something kind of interesting that popped out. Like I said, a little flashing light. And it'd be down here in this corner here where I noticed it. And I wanted to put it up on the TV here so that I could kind of zoom in to show you a little bit better because this little light is like really high up. I mean, that would have been way high up in the upper atmosphere. Much higher than, regular commercial air traffic. And now, hang on just a second. I put a filter on it for this one here. And I think that it's all part of these space-based systems and the infrastructure. Because Trump had a big meeting the other day. Y'all missed it. And he was mentioning how these people that are building up all of this, these data centers and all this tech, are going to be putting in and utilizing their own power systems, their own power plants. They're going to be generating their own power, right? So I do think that a lot of this of what we're seeing is part of these space-based infrastructure that they're putting in place. There it is, right there, just a flashing. And it would have had to have been up very high, as you notice as I zoom out there. It, normal air traffic in the sky, commercial planes and everything, I can zoom right in on and clearly tell it's a plane. You can see the entire outline. I can zoom right in on the bottom of these planes at 30, 40,000 feet. So whatever that was up much higher than that. Much, much higher. And I'm playing it for me here. There it is, right in there. It's all part of these space-based systems they've been wanting to put in place since the 80s. The whole Star Wars thing, right? There it is. So, and this here would have had to have been up at about between 50 and 60,000. I mean, look at how high up it is. And I really had to zoom in hard on it. And I only noticed it because I put on these filters. I was looking at it from different angles, flipped it around, reversed it, all that. And this would have been the same day that all that stuff was going on over there in the Middle East, when they first started all that stuff over there in the Middle East. And this would have been hovering, like I said before, would have been hovering over like Hoover Dam, Nellis area. But that little light right there, that little light would have been up, I don't know, at least 50, 60,000. And I don't know. I really don't know how comfortable I am really with all of these space-based systems and all of this space-based infrastructure going in, Trump had his meeting the other day and was talking about how these tech folks that are building all of these installations and data centers and everything are going to be generating their own power too, using their own power plants and building their own power plants and stuff so that they won't have to drain off of the main grid, right? And what is that? I mean, really, what exactly was going on last Saturday over the Hoover Dam? Because this would have been right directly over the Hoover Dam. I mean, clearly there is some kind of stuff, if you want to call it that, drifting up over in what they call the LEO, the low Earth orbit. Clearly, it was spread up all over from, in my perspective, it was spanned from the Hoover Dam all the way to Nellis. From Nellis to the Hoover Dam was this massive structure, and this massive whatever it was, drifting very slowly, just hovering more than anything. And I just don't know if I'm ever going to really be comfortable with knowing that these things are up there. And they've been up there for a long time, folks. They're just lowered their ceiling. Actually, they've lowered our ceiling and expanded their workable space. Okay, they've already had these things up in the much higher upper atmosphere. Okay, but they're expanding their infrastructure space, lowering our ceiling. Okay, and essentially they're hijacking our energy. that's flowing around up there is really what's happening. They're intercepting our energy and they're redistributing it. They're directing energy. Okay? And what is that? I mean, this whole capture from that day, from last Saturday, is just full of all kinds of infrastructure drifting over us. And I don't remember ever being given a heads up other than the news that was coming out of some of these space companies about how, they were just going to go ahead and, move forward with some of their plans to build power plants up there and generate their own, space-based infrastructure and energy. And so many people said that's just a conspiracy, right? They're not doing that. Yeah, they are. And they have been. And it's becoming more and more visible as more and more people are paying a little bit more attention to it. And they're hoping that everybody thinks it's aliens. That's my view. That's what I think. That's why this whole narrative about aliens and all of this stuff has been circulating for decades and decades and decades. It's because they knew that eventually they would be expanding their use space up there in the upper atmosphere and lowering our ceiling. So they knew that a lot of what they've been doing for decades would become more and more visible. And they want everybody thinking this is aliens. That's what they want. And I apologize to anyone, but I don't think that's what it is. It's our government, it's our military expanding their territory, hijacking our energy, and expanding their use of space above us, above our heads. I can't buy into the whole alien theory, guys. I'm sorry if that offends anyone. Y'all are welcome to look at the video and you can, fantasize and speculate about it being aliens if you want. Myself personally, I mean, I can't prove what I'm saying. I can't prove to or convince anyone that what you're looking at here are these space-based systems that they're putting in place to essentially build infrastructure up there to harness energy and then direct that energy wherever they want. I can't prove that. And it's so frustrating because they know that people would rather imagine that it's aliens, right? Anyway, I did do like a zoom in, a show really quick here of this light craft. I kind of zoomed in on it a few times and expanded it and cropped it and expanded it and then slowed it down. But again, that would have had to have been up 50, 60,000 feet at least, if not maybe a little bit higher. I don't know. I mean, I know that they've been operating up there 50, 60,000 with their loons. This probably could have even been one of those loons. But for whatever reason, it was up there with all of this other structure that was presenting itself over the Hoover Dam in Nellis last Saturday. And I don't know, I just thought that I would show y'all the little light craft that popped out there in this video and just, I guess, want to offer up my opinion. I mean, and not that it really matters much because people are going to believe whatever they want to believe. And I can't prove anything of what I'm saying, But I can tell you that it's very interesting with all the things that are going on right now with the different branches of the government, the three branches, right? Executive, legislative, and judicial. Every branch is getting tested and precedents are being set. And I can tell you that in Trump's first time in office, I paid very close attention to every executive order that he issued, and I'm not exaggerating. I read, I copied, and I printed out even every executive order that Trump put forward in his first term. And every executive order has something to do with aligning up the different branches of the government for continuity of government. And I'm telling y'all, they want everyone getting dependent upon the vulnerable systems. And by they, I mean the government, okay? They want the civvies off of the hard lines. They want the civvies off of the protected hard lines. And they want everyone other than the government and the military off of the hard lines. They want us all on the vulnerable lines that have been proven vulnerable time after time for decades. And everything that Trump is doing has got so many different things to do with continuity of government operations. He's testing every branch. Every branch is being tested and precedents are being set. So just keep a heads up, I guess. I mean, like I said, and because I'm repetitive, I'll say it again. I can't prove to anyone that what we're looking at here is some massive space-based infrastructure that they're putting in place. That was a very sharp line there, huh? And it's not aliens. That's my opinion. That's my view. But if that's what you, I suppose if that's what you want to think about, I can't stop you. You know? Everything that's happening right now is happening for a reason. And things are lining up for continuity of government operations. And I just feel like some shit's going to hit the fan soon. And, you know, there's not a lot of people are going to be prepared, I guess. I don't even know if I'm going to be prepared. I mean, I can't say we don't have extra food in the pantry because we do. We got extra toilet paper. You know, we got water up the wazoo because we've been getting them big 5-gallon jugs delivered. So, I mean, we have some resources. But who knows what's coming, really? Who really knows what's coming? I'm seeing a lot of channels. I'm seeing a lot of people creating content, telling everybody to get prepared because it's going to get so bad. And, I mean, I suppose once they get themselves all situated where they know for a fact that they would be able to recover from a major incident, and we'll find out. But, I mean, this is the lowest they've drifted, this type of infrastructure down to ground level. This is the closest any of this type of infrastructure has been to us and our, you know, relative position at ground level. So we really don't know how this stuff is really going to affect everything. Or whether or not, you know, if they have an accident or something up there, who's providing the checks and balances? For if, like, say, one of their power systems decides to fail and it, you know, God forbid, blows up and rains down God knows what types of materials on us. Not necessarily radioactive, but toxic. Would they tell us? I don't think they would. I think they would just cover it up and they would say, well, climate change. You know? It's, I don't know. It's very interesting times to be alive. That is for sure. It's very interesting times to be alive. And, I don't know. I just think that little light that popped up in this video is very interesting. And like I said, because I'm repetitive, I'll say it again. It would have been up a very high, like way up there. Oh, battery's running low on the laptop. There it is. Anyway, just thought I would share that. Stay safe and mindful. Know that I appreciate you and that you matter very much to me. And it matters very much to me that you stay safe and you stay mindful.